To be honest, I was a bit torn about doing this topic because I'm really worried that after watching, some of you might try it yourselves. You won't, right? Just promise me you won't try it. I hope you're all curious but also too scared to actually do it. This story went viral across the Chinese internet, and almost everyone my age knows about it. It's about a young man named Zuo Yang who played some ghost summoning games that were trending online, and then experienced a series of bizarre events. The strangest thing about this story is that it seems to debunk those games, but at the same time, it almost proves they are real. This topic will be split into two videos. The next one will cover another person's terrifying experience with these kinds of games. This video does contain some scary images, but don't worry, I'll give a 5-second jump scare warning. You might want to cover your eyes. Alright, let's begin. Let me start by saying that just because I play these games doesn't mean I'm super brave. It's really just my curiosity getting the best of me. I've tried a few paranormal games before, but I did them all alone. This time, I got a few buddies to join in. I can responsibly say that everything I'm about to tell you is true. If not, I'll take full legal responsibility. I heard ages ago that if you peel an apple in front of a mirror at midnight, you'll see your past self. So I got everything ready and decided to give it a shot. I waited impatiently for midnight, and as soon as it hit 12, I started the ritual. I grabbed my mom's vanity mirror, lit a candle on each side, and killed the lights. Honestly, I was kind of freaked out when seeing my face in the mirror. The point of this game is you can't break the apple peel, or a ghost will snatch you up. That's why I got a whole bag of apples. I'm gonna see this through no matter how many times do I have to try. My hands were shaking as I peeled the apple. I'm scared to death I'll look up and see someone else's face in the mirror. But after peeling the whole thing, nothing happened. I wasn't satisfied, so I peeled another one. Still nothing. I kept going, third apple, fourth apple, still nothing. Finally, I gave up and went to bed, super tired. The next morning, my mom woke me up and saw apple peels and all the stuff I juiced scattered all over the place. She freaked out, thinking I'd either been sleepwalking or something was seriously wrong with me. At breakfast, she whispered to my dad about it, but I just pretended like nothing happened. Supposedly, if you go to a deserted, dark crossroad at midnight with a bowl of white rice and stick incense into it, you'll invite spirits. Once the incense burns out, the rice is said to be full of yin energy, and if you eat it, you'll be able to see ghosts. The area around my place is pretty quiet, so it's easy to find an empty intersection at night. At midnight, I put some food on the ground, lit 3 incense sticks, and sat down to watch them burn out. Honestly, this game gave me the creeps. As I watched the incense slowly burn, time seemed to drag on forever, and it felt like the temperature dropped. Maybe it was all in my head, I thought. The game itself wasn't hard, but that bowl of rice was disgusting. It was mixed with incense ash and really hard to swallow. I finally finished it, but I didn't see anything. I stayed there for a bit, then headed home. But here's the weird part. It took me over an hour to get home, when the walk is normally just 10 minutes. Everything looked the same as when I came, but I just couldn't seem to get there. Did I actually run into something supernatural? Was I stuck in some kind of ghost loop? I came across this game on some forum. You all probably know how it goes, so I'll spare you the details. I knew about Bloody Mary's backstory, but I couldn't help wondering, can a foreign ghost even show up in China? I had my doubts, but still, I gave it a try last night. Midnight rolled around, and there I was, staying alone in the bathroom. I locked the door, turned off the lights, and lit up a couple candles on either side of the mirror. I squeezed my eyes shut and chanted Bloody Mary 3 times, my mind going wild with all the creepy stuff that might pop up. After I'm done, something in the mirror actually changes. What could it be? I reached out and gave it a swipe. It's just bathroom steam fogging up the mirror. You've probably heard of this one. Let me summarize. At midnight, 4 people stand in the corners of a dark room facing the walls. One person walks to the next corner, taps the person on the shoulder, and then continues. The last person, after reaching the empty corner, coughs before moving on. The creepy part of this game is that after several rounds, the cough will stop, meaning that every corner is occupied, but one person is still walking. So who's the extra person? I got 3 friends who work night shifts with me to play. At first, we were joking around, but as soon as the lights went off, the mood changed. Everyone shut up immediately. Here's how we were standing. Liu, me, Feng, and Cowboy. I was the first to walk. Maybe it was just my imagination, but I felt really uneasy, like I couldn't breathe properly. We went around for about 20 minutes and everything was normal. People kept coughing at the right times, but then when Feng's turn came, things got weird. This guy suddenly screamed out loud, scaring the hell out of us. Liu turned the lights on, shouting, "What the hell happened?" Feng yelled back, "Why is there one less person?" Turns out, when it was Feng's turn, he walked past 2 empty corners, meaning not only was there not an extra person, we were actually missing someone. We looked around and realized Cowboy was gone. Just as we were freaking out, the door opened, and Cowboy popped his head in, looking at us. We all grabbed him and asked where he'd been. He said, I drank too much beer, went to the bathroom. In the end, Cowboy got a good beating, and the game was over. If you weren't satisfied with how my previous games turned out, well, let me tell you, this time things got real. If this is what you were hoping for, here it is. Honestly, I'm not an atheist, but I've never really bought into these scary games. I always thought they were made up, but now I've learned a harsh lesson. We decided to give the Corners game another go at the same spot. This time, we didn't bring Cowboy along. Instead, we invited a girl named Gogo. For extra atmosphere, we started exactly at midnight. Here's how we were positioned. Me, Gogo, Liu, Feng. This time, the girl started. I won't bore you with the details of the middle part, but about 10 minutes in, the girl let out a scream that nearly scared us to death. I immediately turned the lights on and rushed to her. She grabbed my collar, glaring at me with so much anger in her eyes, and through gritted teeth she said, "I want out! I want out!" We were all terrified, and it was clear she wasn't joking. Trying to stay calm, I hugged her, hoping to comfort her, but she bit my shoulder and wouldn't let go. It took all of us to pull her off, and she kept shouting at us, "I want out! I want out!" At that point, we decided to stop the game and get her out of there. We struggled to get her coat on and basically dragged her downstairs. I ended up carrying her on my back, and we rushed to the hospital. When we got to the hospital lobby, her face suddenly changed. She collapsed to the floor and started crying. The doctor gave us a weird look and asked what happened, but we couldn't tell him the truth, so we just said she got scared by something. They gave her some sedatives, and we sat with her while she rested. She fell asleep not long after, but we stayed up all night. The next morning, as soon as it got light, we took her home. She was in much better spirits, which was a relief. When she got to her house, she turned around, smiled at us, and even apologized. She said she didn't really know what happened last night, but when she got to that supposedly empty corner, she saw a shadow, and it made her snap. I've thought a lot about that game. Was it just her imagination, or was there really something supernatural going on? I leaned toward it being in her head because we had warned her about what could happen. Maybe the pressure and the darkness got to her and she had a breakdown, but that's just my guess. After that game, Zuo Yang never played any of those spirit summoning games again. He also started logging into his account less and less, with the last time being on June 28, 2005. After that, he vanished without a trace. People started speculating about what happened to him. Then, on October 25, 2008, 3 years later, he logged in again. But this time, his tone had completely changed. Gone was the carefree attitude, and instead, he was warning everyone not to play these kinds of games. Here's what he wrote. From the time I first posted this story until now, it's been over 3 years and 8 months. I know a lot of people want to know why I disappeared for so long. I can tell you all that I became terrified of this account. Honestly, I've logged in a few times over the years wanting to finish this post, but each time I didn't know what to say. If anyone asks me today, did you really do all those things you wrote about? I can still confidently tell you, yes, I did, and I paid a terrible price for my ignorance. The consequences didn't just affect me, they spread to the people around me. My family once had a decent amount of wealth and even a profitable business, but after that, I lost everything. So, to everyone who's followed this post and to anyone reading these words, remember this. You may never believe in gods or spirits, but never disrespect them. After that post, Zuo Yang disappeared completely. He never explained what happened during those 3 years. However, a friend of his shared some details in a later post. It must have been around 22. We were having dinner when I noticed a crescent-shaped scar on Zuo Yang's left wrist. I asked him about it, and he told me a story so strange I remember it clearly. Zuo Yang said when he was back in his hometown, he had some kind of mental breakdown. He would be walking along, and suddenly, everything around him would go silent. Not like being blind, he could still see, but there were no people, no cars, no sound, as if all his senses had been blocked. One time, he was crossing the street when everything went eerily quiet. He didn't think much of it and kept walking. Right as he reached the middle of the road, a middle-aged woman appeared out of nowhere and pulled him hard to the side. A car flew by, just barely missing him. Suddenly, everything came back. People, cars, the noise of the city. The woman had been so scared, he pulled him with such force that her thumbnail dug into his wrist, leaving that scar. She thought he was trying to kill himself and called the police. On top of that, Zuo Yang's family used to own a small business that had been doing well, but out of nowhere, things started going downhill. Orders were constantly cancelled for no reasons, and the manufacturer often delayed the delivery time. What's more, his relationships started to deteriorate. He told me about a time when his best friend came to borrow money. Zuo Yang was in a bad mood and had a quarrel with him. During the argument, he kicked over a trash can by his desk. Looking at the trash, his friend gave a cold smile and said, "It's okay that you don't want to lend me money, but hiding cash in a trash can? That's low." Zuo Yang shocked for a moment, then looked down and saw that there were a bunch of crumpled up bills scattered on the floor among the trash. But he promised they were absolutely white paper before, so who knows how much money he unknowingly threw away like that. But that was just one of many strange things that happened to him. Zuo Yang's update pushed the post back into the spotlight. Some people think he was just trying to get attention, but most believe he really went through something. First of all, he didn't become an influencer because of this, nor did he benefit from any online fame. He just updated the post and then vanished. Secondly, what he went through afterward feels very real. You see, when people are haunted by spirits, the consequences aren't always obvious or terrifying like we see in the movies. Most of the time, their luck just keeps getting worse, their health deteriorates, and they're prone to experiencing strange misfortunes. Spirits are negative energy, and they bring negative energy into people's lives. He actually reminds me of a guy named Yin Jiuhua, a TikTok influencer in China a few years ago. This guy became famous for debunking those ghost summoning games too. At first, nothing happened, but then one day, he purposely damaged a statue of Guan Yin. We all know that kind of behavior is really disrespectful, especially toward a deity. After that, he disappeared for a while. When he came back, he had joined the local group that released fish into rivers for spiritual merit, saying he was trying to make up for his actions. But he never said a word about what happened during this disappearance. But I think it wasn't anything good, and it certainly wasn't something minor. So again, when it comes to spirits and gods, we don't have to believe in them, but we should never provoke them. That's the whole story of Zuo Yang. In the next video, I'll be talking about a girl who, after reading Zuo Yang's story, decided to try the games for herself. Let's see how that turned out.